Hi, ghost hunting fans! If you enjoyed Family Spirits, the adventures and evidence of Gallo family ghost hunters, you're going to love Family Spirits 2, Purpose and the Paranormal by Bobby J. Gallo. Paperback and Nookbook available through Barnes & Noble. More adventure, more evidence, more ghosts. Materialize your copy today.
Sleep tonight. I don't know. Well, anyway, let me tell everybody a bit about me because a lot of you in the audience have no idea who I am. Even though I do have some people here that came just to see me tonight, so that's pretty cool. Okay, now, my name is Bobby J. Gallo, and I am part of a paranormal team called Gallo Family Ghost Hunters. And why are we Gallo Family Ghost Hunters? Because myself, my daughter, my wife who's on camera over there, Renee, and my other daughter who is not here tonight, we actually are paranormal investigators as a family unit. And just to give you a brief background on how we started, this is kind of entertaining. I've personally been investigating since 1989. So this was well before the term paranormal investigator was even coined, if you will. Back then, we were called psychic investigators, and I was investigating an old haunted theater that was built by my two great uncles. In fact, you know, as fate would have it, just last summer, Weird New Jersey, which is an iconic publication in New Jersey, if any of you know that magazine, they actually just did a 5-page spread on my very first investigation in 1989. So that was a big surprise for me. I wasn't expecting it. But anyway, I got out of it because, you know, I started a family and a career. And it was about 11, 12 years ago. I was living in the South at the time. And my kids filmed this brand new television show on the Travel Channel called Ghost Adventures. Yeah, well, it's still around. But this is when they were pretty much first starting. And I was like, wow, this is pretty cool, let's watch this. And they were just absolutely amazed by these three random guys going across the country hunting ghosts. And I'm looking at it like, wow, that's almost exactly what I was doing back in 1989. So we're about 10 episodes in. And I said, well, this would probably be a good time to tell them. So I turned to the kids, Courtney was there too. And I said, hey kids, you know, Daddy used to do that too. And all of a sudden the world stopped. They were like, you did? And it was like that moment in the movie Spy Kids, if you ever seen it, where the small boy, the star of the show, says, my parents aren't cool enough to be spies. So they couldn't grasp the fact that I actually did this. So all of a sudden, with no fear, no hesitation, they wanted to go ghost hunting. Courtney was 8 years old at the time. Okay? And just to let you know that she's now scouting for law schools. So that's how long she's been doing it. She was the most fearless one of the entire group, by the way. No fear, no hesitation. So I brushed up on current methodology on how to go ghost hunting, you know, current equipment and whatnot. And we went out, and I said, how cool would it be just to get one good picture, one EVP, which is electronic voice phenomenon for those, Eleanor was showing you some of the ones on the tape over there. Anything, I just wanted one thing that these guys were getting on TV. Well, it turned out we ended up getting mountains of evidence. And you know, I'm a typical dad, I'm videotaping everything. So I said, well, you know, let me just put one of these pieces of evidence out on YouTube and see what happens. And at the time, you could count the amount of paranormal web series on YouTube literally on one hand. And so I went on there and I posted one of the videos. Before I know it, it went viral. We were getting tens of thousands of views. And I said, wow, you know, it's not just the evidence, it's the dynamic of the family who ghost hunts. So we ended up going on investigations all over the country, and we ended up getting mountains and mountains of evidence. And it was surprising even seasoned pros in the paranormal community. So basically, we started a web series called Gallo Family Ghost Hunters. It was actually more popular in the UK than it was in the United States. And we went over, about 60 investigations later, I floated it out to our fan base. I said, if I wrote a book, would you read it? And there was an overwhelming response, so I wrote Family Spirits, The Adventures and Evidence of Gallo Family Ghost Hunters. We have copies here tonight. And it hit number 3 on Amazon in the adventure travel category. And it actually also sold more copies in the UK than the United States. But we've also since wrote Family Spirits 2, which is our continuing investigations. But we've actually had a great run. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to show you 3 pieces of evidence that we have. I'm just going to show you 3 tonight. And then we're going to actually go into some of the equipment we use, because a lot of people say, oh, ghost hunting, you're just seeing things. Photographic anomalies. This actually is very scientific. It actually goes back to Thomas Edison. A lot of people may not know this, but Thomas Edison, before he died, was actually working on a device to contact the other side. And so was Nikola Tesla. So there's a lot of great minds behind this. Right now I'm actually going for my parapsychology degree. You'd be amazed at what we're doing and the advances we're making to actually prove that there's something beyond this plane of existence, because we believe basically what ghosts are. You know, it's not just some spooky thing you see on Halloween. There's actually science behind this. All of you sitting in the audience, you all have an electromagnetic field about you right now. And we believe it's this electromagnetic field that actually dissipates after we shuttle off this Bohr coil and goes on. That's your consciousness. New theories are saying that consciousness does not reside in the brain. That consciousness is actually part of something called the morphic field, and that your mind is just a radio receiver. And all these things are being scientifically proven as time goes on. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you 3 pieces of evidence. One I think is going to blow your mind. And it was, Courtney was there. And before I do this, Courtney, do you have anything you wanted to say about any of the investigations? We're going to ask you some questions a little bit later. But I am going to actually come down here and go over to the computer like Eleanor did. Now, the first clip I'm going to show you was from an episode called The Hidden Grave of Thomas Sprott. And if anybody ever watches our web series, and I gave everybody a bookmark before the show, if you didn't get a bookmark, come up and get them, they're free. There's an episode called The Hidden Grave of Thomas Sprott, and people go, if I could just watch one episode, which one would you recommend? This would be the one. The 2 clips I'm going to show you from that episode. The first clip is the first time I ever got scared. I normally don't get frightened on an investigation, but I did on this one. Because as, basically here's the background story is, there was a small family-owned burial plot on a southern plantation in Fort Mill, South Carolina, where we were living at the time. It was on privately owned land, so I had to get permission to investigate the cemetery. I went there alone to do a pre-investigation and just to scout everything out. We did get permission to investigate it. As I walked to the cemetery gates, I'm going to show you what happened. Now, I didn't tell you about electromagnetism. That's why we use EMF detectors on investigations, because we believe that either ghosts or the method by which they manifest on this plane of existence is electromagnetic in nature. So I had my EMF detector on as I was approaching the cemetery. Okay, here we go. for you later, sweetie, not them. How serious is this? That's amazing. That's amazing.
I just took a reason towards you and that came up.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible. Now that's only the first part. Something is forming in front of Renee as she's taking the pictures.
Hey, I just saw it again.
In this shot, you're going to see the ectoplasm cloud sucking the energy out of Renee's DVD recorder. You're right. Watch. Renee, look at this. Look at this.
That's because you're sleeping. You're sleeping.
That's the way it goes.
Meeting goes.
Yeah. Okay, now the best one is coming. You can see on the left-hand side the ectoplasm cloud. Now you're going to see it form into a full-body apparition standing right next to me. Is it really? What is it? And there it is. Now on the left-hand side, that's my back, which is my better side. And on the right-hand side is the full-body apparition of who we suspect is the ghost of Thomas Sprott, who agreed to let us photograph it. In the foreground, you can see Renee, her back, because that's where we were facing. And Nikki G, who's not here tonight, who took that picture, was freaking out as she was seeing it through the LCD viewfinder of the infrared camera. So that is probably one of our most famous paranormal anomalies. We've had this photo studied by photographic experts and paranormal experts all over the world, and they've all come to a conclusion that this is one of the most convincing full-body apparitions they've ever seen. And we're gonna stop the video right there. Okay, now the last thing I'm going to show you is one of our best EVPs. If we're able to hear this, it's probably going to keep you up at night, so I'm going to apologize in advance. But let me tell you how this was captured. Sometimes the best things happen by mistake. Renee and I were investigating a small burial ground that was never before investigated. We were trying a new piece of equipment out, and we weren't getting any activity at all, and I thought the entire thing was a bust. When I got home, I realized that the digital recorder that I was doing EVP sessions with, I forgot to shut it off. So as we're exiting the cemetery, you're going to hear me and Renee laughing as we're tripping over footstones and fallen gravestones. And then all of a sudden, you're going to hear a third voice come in telling us not to leave. Now, it's going to happen twice, 2 full sentences, same entity, female voice, and you're going to see, because you're going to see me cut to, I'm going to be in the studio, I'm going to be playing this for you on a video editing program. But this is probably our most famous EVP. Now comes the second one. It's a female voice. The same entity follows up with another EVP. It's Can everybody hear that?
Yes.
Okay, so you can hear that. Okay, good. Okay, that's it. Thank you, Eleanor. You can. That's all we needed to play. So basically, that was caught completely by accident. And when I got home and I listened to it, my jaw dropped. Now, how does this happen? So let's go back really quick to the first where I was at the Sprott gate, and I was using this exact device right here, and I'm going to put it in regular EMF mode, which is what I had. It's on. Put it on number 3. Thank you. Thanks, honey. This is Courtney's favorite piece of equipment. It's her baby, by the way. If you watch our web series, thank you. If you watch our web series, you'll see her with this constantly. Now, how does this work? Remember we were talking about EMF?
It's similar to the K2.
Yeah, because you have the K2. Yeah, we have 2 different ones here tonight. And I'm going to demonstrate this. Like I said, electromagnetic energy is what we suspect ghosts either consist of, or it's how they manifest on our plane of existence. This is an EM pump. And basically what this does is this will flood an area with electromagnetic energy, which we feel can feed an entity so that we can get communication. But it also is great for demonstrating this. So if I take this and I put it right down here and I switch it on, you see a little light, and I take this, you see that?
Same with this one. The same thing will happen with this one.
Yeah, go ahead. You see with the K2,
Yeah, see how it's lighting up?
you'll see all the lights up.
See that, everybody?
So basically, now, if you're in the middle of the woods and there's no power source, this is not going to go off. I'm close to these lights and it's still not going off. So to be in a cemetery in the middle of the woods and have this pinned to a 5 is a scientific impossibility unless there is something there feeding this. And when I tell you that I went to that gate, I could not enter it. Something was keeping me out. Hair on the back of my neck was standing up. Okay. I hate it when that happens. So basically, yeah, if you watch any of our web series, you're going to see that, and also read about our books, we talk about this a lot. And Eleanor uses the K2 meter. This is the one that you probably see on the TV show Ghost Hunters. This isn't working. There we go. See, you know, put it, I turned it on. Okay, there we go. Let it that part out. Okay. These come in all flavors. This is this is probably the Cadillac right here. This is a tri-field natural. And what makes this so special is that this is specifically designed to filter out old man-made EMF. And so, for instance, if you have this on an investigation, it's not going to pick up the outlets, or it's not going to pick up power lines. This will only pick up organic EMF. So it'll actually pick me up. So, you know, you have to kind of stay away from it. But when this thing starts reacting, as you'll see on one of our episodes that we did at the Salem Inn, it was acting intelligently. Sometimes we ask an entity to come towards it and to back away and do maybe like a little yes or no interrogation or question, if you will. Really not an interrogation, because believe me, they're doing us the favor by communicating with us. And
You saw Renee using the dowsing
you
rods.
saw Renee using the dowsing rods. Eleanor's going to explain those.
The dowsing rods, obviously back in the day, were used to find water when people were looking for water. And it's my tool when I want to connect with spirit. A lot of people who are sensitive will need tools. Some people can just see and hear spirit. I'm not that sensitive enough to do that. So I use tools, and the dowsing rod is one of them. And it's usually yes or no answer. So I'll say, they're very sensitive. You have to hold them a certain way, and you have to focus. And you'll say cross over. It'll be yes. If you open out wide, it'll be no. So you're only getting yes or no answers. And you really got to concentrate and keep steady hands. And in a quiet setting, answer the questions to get a yes or no answer. So dowsing rods are something that I use. And you saw Renee using them when she was on camera, when she was talking to spirit. And I also use the pendulum. I'll show you all, which is another nifty little tool to get responses. What I like to do with my pendulum when I'm using it is have a stand Like I use a metal stand to put the pendulum on it, hang the pendulum from it, because everyone's going to say, oh, your hand's not steady enough. I mean, I trust my hand, and I'm not out to prove anything to anybody, but to save that argument, I'll hang the pendulum on a stand so it's unmoving, and that when it moves, then we know it's something that's moving it. And it's the same thing, a yes or a no question. You'll have it hanging, and you'll say you want it to circle for yes, or you want it to go back and forth for no. And that's a way to get yes or no answers. Margaret here, she receives actual messages, though. She feels things and she'll get messages, so she's a lot more sensitive than I am. But if somebody out there is interested in pursuing the paranormal, these are great tools for you to use in order to do so.
Awesome, awesome. When we first got into the paranormal, we were trained by Dr. Harry Stafford as a family. You can see a picture of Courtney and Dr. Stafford. She's 8 years old, and he's teaching her and he always used to say, he goes, one of the best determiners of paranormal evidence are temperature fluctuations. You've all heard of cold spots coming in haunted locations. That's because the theory is that a spirit will suck energy out of a given location in order to manifest and leave a cold spot. It's actually sucking the heat out. This is a brand new, now this is current technology. This is the Glossier Thermal Protector by a friend of mine named Gary Gallo. You might have seen him on Ghost Adventures. I talk to him almost every day on Twitter, and I got this from him. And if you turn it on, you'll see it lights up. Now, let me show you how sensitive it is. I'm going to point it at Eleanor. That's detecting her heat signature. If I go towards the ceiling, you see it's getting colder, but once it acclimates, it's going to stop altogether. But we use this to detect hot and cold spots, and because it's laid out like a little radar grid, we can actually see where in the room we have the cold spots. So this is current technology that we're actually using. And there's Courtney. That's how sensitive it is. And this is detecting thermal fluctuations. So this is how we detect hot and cold anomalies in a room. We can also use a classic temperature gun. That is Black & Decker that you can get in any hardware store. And you know what? It works. It does. This one actually has, you can't really see it in here. Oh, you can see it on the, you see the green light on the ceiling?
Steve, I want one for Christmas.
Check this out now. Look at that. It's detecting where the hot and the cold anomalies are. Now it went blue. And it will tell you the temperature on here. But this is great. This is great on an investigation, and you can keep your eye on the spot where the action is taking place instead of looking at this so you don't miss anything.
Obviously, when you're first starting out, you may not have the money to buy all this equipment.
That's right.
And you want to go the easiest and cheapest route you can. Believe it or not, a simple cat ball.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, it's a great tool to get spirit to react because it takes a lot of energy for them to move things.
Yep.
And what's more convincing than the cat ball? If you're in a haunted building and you're trying to get them to move, if it's standing still and nothing happens, but if it starts moving and it starts rolling and bouncing, then you know something's doing it. So it's a very inexpensive way to connect with spirit.
That's awesome. Yeah, the last thing I want to tell everybody, this is the exact camera that we caught the full body apparition with. This is an infrared camera. The theory is that because of the temperature anomalies that we get on a paranormal investigation, it's easier to capture an anomaly in infrared mode. So that's why we use these things right here. This is a Bell & Howell S7 Slim. Unfortunately, they don't make these anymore, but if you check eBay every day, you will find one. I can't recommend these enough. And even the video camera that Renee is filming with right now has infrared capability. We use that on investigations all the time. So I think now would be a great time to open it up to questions.
If I could just say
Before we do that.
one final thing I'd like to tell everybody is if you're out there and you're looking to do something, just make sure you arm yourself with protection. Even the best of them out there can bring something home unintentionally. So whether you're a religious person, you can use that as your guide, or you can buy protective oils. I mean, I'm both religious and like to protect myself. Protective oils, carry protective stones of all sorts. I wear them